All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
In the heart of the night, where the shadows play, on the X Zone we gather, come what may, with Rob McConnell guiding us through the dark, searching for truth hidden, igniting the spark. Whispers of spirits, both gentle and bold, tales of the ancients in the stories retold. From haunted old houses to the echoing halls, we seek the unknown where mystery calls. On the X-Zone Radio, where the truth finds a way through the stories of ghosts that wander and sway, inviting the seekers, the wise and the brave. Join us each episode, let the curious say.
Good evening and welcome back to the X-Zone Radio Show. I'm Rob McConnell, broadcasting from our studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and your hometown radio, Classic 1220 CFAJ AM, streaming us on classic1220.ca. Tonight we're honored to welcome a very special guest who brings light, love, and a connection to the divine. Joining us from beautiful Prince Edward Island is Karen FORREST, widely known as the Angel Lady of the Maritimes. Karen is a spiritual counselor, medium, and angel communicator with a unique background that includes serving in the Canadian military. Through her work, she has helped countless people receive healing messages from their guardian angels, departed loved ones, and spiritual guides. Her website, KarenForrest.com, is a gateway to her services, books, and workshops, all designed to bring peace, understanding, and spiritual awareness to those who seek it. So whether you're curious, skeptical, or spiritually inclined, stay tuned as we explore the angelic realms with Karen FORREST. And Karen, welcome back to the X-Zone. How have you been, my friend?
Oh, I've been doing really well. I've been busy traveling the last year, including a trip to Ottawa that I just got back from, and now I'm trying to stay in Prince Edward Island for the summer because it is our best season. I don't want to miss out on my beach time, so I stay put in the summertime.
You know, as a child, my mom and dad took my brother and I to Prince Edward Island, and it is the most beautiful little province that we have, and the people are so kind, so friendly. In fact, Laura and I are planning to take a trip down to the Maritimes this summer to visit family and friends. So, you know, beautiful country we live in. Karen, how did you become known as the Angel Lady of the Maritimes? You know, how did you like you were in the military?
That's right.
And there you are now, the Angel Lady of the Maritimes.
Yeah, at first it took me a while to embrace that title. I actually felt uncomfortable with the title Angel Lady, but it's what my clients kept calling me. They weren't calling me Karen. They were calling me the Angel Lady because I talked to angels. So constantly clients were referring to me as the Angel Lady or introducing me as the Angel Lady, not as Karen FORREST, but simply as the Angel Lady. So in time, I learned to embrace that title, to the point that I actually now have a trademark on that title in Canada. But it took a bit to embrace that title because I'm like, oh, yeah, you know what? You're right. I do talk to angels. I could see why they call me that. It just was a little weird at first.
Not everyone can talk to angels, and as I've discussed with you many times, my favorite topic that I talk about on this show, and going back over the 35 years of doing this show, my favorite topic is angels, because I believe they're real. I've had angel experiences. So, how do you deal with people who you kind of say, well, yeah, you're an angel lady. You talk to angels. Like, come on. You and I know they're real. How do you deal with skepticism?
I know. I just accept it. I don't try to convince anyone of anything because I get it. I understand what it's like to be skeptical because I used to be too. And I don't want to increase intolerance in the world. If there's one thing I learned in my military career, is that intolerance doesn't help peace in this world. So if people say, no, you're full of foolishness or you're full of crap or whatever, I don't say anything to convince them. I'm okay with that they think that, and that's where they are in life. That is fine by me. I don't want to increase intolerance in this world. I've witnessed enough of that in my military career.
I would imagine so. And once again, thank you for your service, Karen.
Yeah.
Karen, what was your very first spiritual or angelic experience, and how did it change your life?
Yeah, it definitely changed my life. It is actually, when it comes to communicating with angels, with divine beings, I was young. I was in my teens. I was raised as a Catholic. I've always had a strong faith because my parents had strong faith. I've always believed in God, and I've always believed in angels. But I had to learn to have my own personal relationship. And that didn't happen until I was around 16 years old. And I remember, which is really kind of bizarre because I was young, I was only around 16, still in high school, thinking and telling God, look, God, I'm still trying to learn about you. I'm still trying to understand you at a personal level. But what I will promise you is I will commit to my life path. If you tell me what I need to do and guide me, I will commit to it and honor it. And I made that commitment to myself and angels and God at the age 16 and followed through since.
For those unfamiliar with your work, Karen, because we've had so many new stations join us since you and I were last talking here, how would you describe what you do?
Yeah, I talk to angels and dead people for a living. So when I communicate with angels, that's what I do. That's when people ask me. People have no idea what I do, and they're casually asking me, like when I'm on cruises or traveling, what do you do for a living? I'm like, oh, man, talk to angels and dead people. Thanks for asking. When I talk to angels, my focus there is, in my private sessions, is getting divine guidance for people, answering specific questions, looking at people's life path, doing angelic healing, and teaching people the skills to feel more peaceful. So it's quite in-depth in an angel reading when I'm doing angel work with people. I'm not what I call a flaky psychic. I'm not here to tell you what your future is going to look like, because that's going to change with your free will. So I'm not going to here to say, you're going to meet a guy in 3 years from now who's tall and dark and handsome. That's all nonsense. That depends on what you're doing with your life. So I focus on the here and now and what can you do to move forward in your life. And then when I do mediumship, which is talking to dead people, very specifically, my focus is helping people heal through grief. Because of my counseling background, I was a mental health nurse in the military. I have a bachelor in nursing with an advanced diploma in psychiatric nursing and over 30 years of experience of counseling. So when people are doing a session with me talking to dead people, my focus is really trying to help them with unfinished business, help them heal through the grief, and help them say, here's what you need to do next as you move forward in the life in a way that when your life is turned upside down when you're going through a grieving process.
Many people wonder, how do you communicate with angels? Is it visual, auditory, intuitive, or all of the above?
Mainly for me, auditory, but it's all the above. But the main way is I am literally hearing them. Same with dead people. Angels and dead people are talking to me. So often I'll be saying to people, they're saying, because I am hearing words. But it can also come through feelings, and sometimes just visually, and sometimes just through a sense of knowingness, which is all part of your intuitive abilities. But specifically, my main way for me is hearing them.
In your opinion, Karen, being the angel lady of the Maritimes for so many years, can anyone communicate with angels, or is it a special gift?
It's not a special gift. I tell people all the time I'm not special. You spend like the $80,000 I've done on my education and practice as much as I have, you'll get to the point I've gotten. You might not be divinely God to do it professionally, but you get to the point of doing it for yourself. It is time, money, and experience and practice. We can all talk to angels. That's why I encourage people all the time, do this for yourself. Yes, I understand you want private sessions with me to verify what you're getting, or just because you like to. I understand that, but we can all speak to angels and our loved ones in heaven too.
You're a medium as well as an angel communicator. How do you differentiate between spirit guides, angels, and departed souls?
Yeah, there's definitely a difference. So, first of all, there's a difference in their energy. That comes with experience, but a dead person's not going to feel the same as a divine source, which is what I call angels, versus a spirit guide versus the fairies. They all feel a little bit different. Dead people will talk to me differently than angels will. So, for example, you can ask the same question. You're going to get the same guidance, but it can be said differently. So, for example, if someone's asked me, is this a good romantic partner for me? The angels just simply say, no, it's unhealthy, or yes, it is. It's just simply yes or no. If I ask dead grandma, what do you think? She's going to have a far more opinionated and sometimes swearing and a few extra words to add to the yes or to the no than what a divine being. So divine beings, there's no judgment when they're talking to me. I speak to a dead person, there's going to be a little bit of judgment going on there with the words that they choose, and their humanness is showing through in that way. But for me, it's all about intent. So I always ask the person, like my client, who do you want me to communicate with? If it's angels, then I hold intent to connect with angels. Then I know that's who the message is coming from. You want me to speak to dead mom? I'm going to ask God, bring in dead mom, and then we're going to talk to dead mom. So it's all about my intent as to who I'm going to connect with. That is who I know that I'm getting the message from.
I would imagine because we on this side of the veil have free will, do those on the other side also have free will, that if they don't want to communicate with someone who's trying to communicate with them, they just say, no way?
That's right. They absolutely have free will. But it's never happened that they've said no yet. And I've spoken to probably tens of thousands of dead people in the last 20 years. Never, ever, ever has a dead person ever said no, because they're so excited to talk, because there's so much a part of your life. So that's why I have to control it as a medium. When people say, hey, I like to talk to dead people, I'm like, all right, you got to tell me who you want me to speak to. I'll ask God to bring them through one at a time, because I need to control this. Otherwise, my reality is I'm going to have 10 different dead people all crashing through, all trying to talk at the same time, and then it gets very confusing who's saying what. So I have a lot of controls and tight controls when I talk to dead people. Not a concern with angels. They don't interrupt each other. They're not all crashing through all at the same time, so that's not a concern with divine realm, but it definitely is in the excitement with dead people. So they have the choice of saying, I don't want to talk to you, Karen. But my reality is that's never happened yet. It's the complete opposite.
Exo Nation, my guest this hour is Miss Karen FORREST, and she is the Maritime Angel Lady here in Canada, in the beautiful province of Prince Edward Island. If you'd like to find out more about Karen, if you'd like to, arrange a one-on-one angelic consultation, visit her website, KarenForrest.com. I'm Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. Karen and I will be back on the other side of this short break, so don't go away.
Whispers of spirits, both gentle and bold. Tales of the ancients in the stories retold. From haunted old houses to the echoing halls, we seek the unknown where the mystery calls.
In the twilight's hush, where shadows whisper low, a silver glimmer streaks across the sky aglow, with a haunting melody. The air begins to thrum, an echo of the wonders that from beyond have come. Celestial encounter as the stars align, a tapestry of wonders woven through space. space and time, from the void of darkness, a chorus sings so bright. Mysteries unfolding in the velvet night.
Karen Forrest is our special guest, X Zone Nation, and Karen, you live in beautiful Prince Edward Island. Do you feel the location enhances your spiritual connection or energy?
It helps, yes. I have found that when I'm in a place that's very heavy energy or dense energy, it makes it harder for me to receive communications. So I do like where I live, but having said that, there's so many beautiful places in the world, and any place can have a little pocket of energy that doesn't feel good, so I just stay away from that because that can dull my vibrations, which just makes it a little bit more work for me to receive messages.
Karen,
I'm very particular about energy.
Tell us about the books you've written. What inspired you to write them, and what can readers expect?
Yeah, my first 3 books are a collection of angel stories, short angel stories. So you can pick up anywhere in the book and just read a story. And after each story, I comment on it or offer some angel advice on how to connect with your angels or an angel prayer. So my first books are Angels of the Maritimes, Canadian Angels, and Angels of the Maritimes Volume 2. So short reads, easy reads, quick reads. I was guided to do it, well, first because my clients kept asking me to write books. They still do, and I'm like, no, I'm tired of writing books. I've written 4, but they're still bugging me to write more. So it was certainly inspired by my clients asking me to write books. But then the reason I actually started my first book, my first published book, is because the angels and God said, okay, you got to start writing a book. So once they said, that's it, Karen, get off your butt, start writing, then I got off my butt and I started writing.
It's kind of difficult to say no to that kind of power.
It is, because if you do, it's like anything in life. You're going against the grain. You're taking yourself off your life path. And I made a commitment at a young age, I will stay on my life path. Even if it sounds like a little bit of work, even if it sounds strange, because I'm like, what, write a book? I don't know. I'm not too sure. What do I know about writing books? I mean, thankfully I was an avid reader. At least I can relate to that part for writing a book. I've always been an avid reader. But it came so strong of start writing, Karen, start writing, just start writing. And so I did. And even before I wrote my first book, I kind of knew what was coming. And I was just taking notes, and I just tossed them into a file folder. I was tossing notes and stories, saying one day, if I ever decide to write a book, at least I'll have something to start with. So I'm so grateful I did that. And that was like that for my autobiography. Angel Lady of the Maritimes is my autobiography, focusing on my transition from being a military nurse, like how do I go from being in the military to talking to angels and dead people for a living, and then the realities of talking to angels and dead people for a living. So I touch on that in my autobiography, Angel Lady of the Maritimes. But before I wrote that book, which is my 4th book, I was, again, having little pieces of paper, just napkins with little notes on it, shoved into a file folder that one day, if I ever decide to write an autobiography, I'll remember this story. And then I finally received the guidance from angels. Okay, you guys start writing. It's time. And my publisher was thrilled. I was very lucky. My publisher accepted me immediately, and then encouraged to have 3 books too. And even to this day, will say to me, anytime you want to write another book, there, I'm ready for you, Karen. I'm ready when you are. Because he knows I'm going to go by divine guidance.
Last night, I had the opportunity of chatting with John Novello. And he was saying that, a lot of the authors that he is talking to these days seem to be getting downloaded information, downloaded ideas on what to write, and the information just flows. And are you noticing this is on the increase with the people that you've had the opportunity of speaking with?
Absolutely. I read a lot, including spiritual books. And that's exactly words people are saying. And even for myself, every time I sat down to write all my books, each time I was sitting down writing, I would ask angels to write through me to make it faster. But that's words people I commonly hear saying, it was like it was downloaded. I couldn't write fast enough. I couldn't type fast enough. It was just coming to me. So it's pretty spectacular. I've heard more of that in the last 10 years.
In your experience, Karen, what role do angels play in our daily lives?
Every role, if you want it to be, it's as much as or as little as we want it to be. But I encourage people, let them be part of your everyday life. It makes your life easier. And I like my life to be easier. It's hard enough as it is. I don't want to make it harder by not inviting angels into my life to make it easier for me. So they're there. They're always there, standing by, going, hey, look, I want to help you, but you got free will. You can ask for help. You can tune into us or not. You can listen to your intuition or not. That's up to you, but we're here for you. And so are your relatives in heaven. They both are. Everyone's got an entourage of angels with them, divine beings, and dead people just sitting there ready to help you out.
I would imagine that they find it, what's the word I'm looking for? They're happy to find someone who can actually see them and communicate with them, because not everybody can, and I'm sure that they just love talking.
Yes, they do. They most certainly do. Angels thankfully don't yakety yak to me. They're very precise and to the point, and they're not overbearing. Dead people can be a little bit more annoying, so I do have more controls on dead people, because otherwise they would constantly talk to me. So I have very tight boundaries for dead people. But as much as you want to connect with them, they are so right there to communicate with you. So I tell people, look, if you want that, just put your attention to it more. A lot of times we're so busy in life with chores and tasks that we're just not taking a minute or two to put our attention to an angel or a dead person who wants to help us out.
You've done live readings and public events. What has been one of the most memorable encounters during those events that you've had?
Yeah, that's a good question. There was one recently. I was doing a grief workshop that I was hired to do. It was a private event, but it was a larger group of people. And so I was talking more about how to work through grief and how to make a personal connection with your loved ones. Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing was that the clients, they're so in awe at the thought I can do that without having to come to someone like me and hire me all the time. I'm like, yes, you can do this. I'll give you some skills to start learning how now. So just the fact they were so in awe at the thought that dead people want to talk to them, that the relatives that they're grieving really are there. It was very special to see that sense of awe and them opening up saying, hey, I'm going to try this. And they were trying it, and I was so impressed with them.
Karen, what was it like the very first time that you saw your first angel?
Yeah, mainly I hear them, but to see them, well, here's the first time where I actually felt an angel. I felt and heard one. And I describe it in my autobiography, but when I was in the military, going as an officer, I had to go through basic training as an officer. One thing we had to do was it's called a 13-kilometer march. Not fun for me because, like every other person, including the men, I still had to carry 50 pounds on my back. So it didn't matter that I'm only 5'2", and the men are 6'2", and they're bigger and taller than me. I still had to carry the same amount of weight as a man does. And so we're doing these 13 kilometers, and I'm good with endurance, but I'm not fast. But I can walk forever if you let me walk my slow little pace. But I had to do it at a certain pace. There was a timing. I couldn't take all day. So I remember praying to God, saying, "Look, I have to do this. I gotta pass this. And you're telling me you want me to be a military nurse. I gotta pass this stupid thing. So you need to help me." So towards the last 5Ks, I was feeling really tired, and I didn't want anyone talking to me. And I was the last in the group. I was slow. And suddenly I felt someone touching my back, but not pushing me, and they were not talking because I didn't want anyone to talk. And it's common in the military that if you're a little slower, you'll literally have like a medic or someone literally go behind you and kind of gently push you forward, or but sometimes they yak too much, and I didn't want that. I felt this gentle pressure on my back that kept me moving at a very steady pace to finish in time. But didn't talk to me, but I felt the peacefulness. And then I turned around at the end to thank them. There was no one there. It was my guardian angel the last 5Ks, and I didn't even know it because I didn't even take the time to turn around or say anything. I just kept moving. But I felt them, but I didn't even realize it was an angel at first. So I felt a little foolish, going, "Oh my God, that wasn't a real person.
Right.
I thought it was a medic. It wasn't. It was an angel behind me."
Have you ever received an angelic message for someone that completely surprised you?
Oh, that's every day in my private sessions. Yeah,
I guess,
and
yeah.
to this day, I've been doing this 20 years, and which is why I always remind myself in my sessions, when I'm giving messages to someone else, keep myself out of it. You do not want guidance from Karen Forrest, unless the angels say, Karen, talk about this because you've got the background as a nurse, right? But otherwise, the messages, I make it clear, these are not from Karen Forrest. You do not want my messages. Because to this day, I am on a regular basis surprised by what the angels say. That I'm like, oh my goodness, oh, I wasn't expecting that. So here's one example. I remember with a client of mine, she's been with me for years, and she's going through a rough time in her marriage. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, why aren't the angels telling her to leave? Like, that's a regular message. The angels are not afraid to say, get out if it's unhealthy and it doesn't look like it's going to improve. And for about a couple of years, the angels said nothing. And then one day they finally said, you got to tell her to leave. I'm like, what? Finally? Like, she's not even asking. Say, I finally get to tell her that, hey, we got to look at this? But she was ready that day. 2 years before that, she was not ready. So the angels said nothing. Even though I'm like, really, angels? At some point, do we get to talk about the obvious? And it wasn't until she was ready that the angels saying, okay, today we get to talk about this. I'm like, all right, then we will. So I'm constantly surprised by what they say.
Explanation, my guest this hour is Karen Forrest, and if you'd like to find out more about Karen, if you'd like to contact her for an angelic one-on-one consultation, her website is KarenForrest.com. And Karen, we've got to take our break at the bottom of the hour, so please stand by. And Exxon Nation, if you'd like to send me an email, exxon@exxonradiotv.com, and on all social media sites, Exxon Radio TV. You're listening to us right here from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on the Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, Exxon Broadcast Network, and on your hometown radio, Classic 1220 CFAJ AM. And they're streaming us right around the world on classic1220.ca. We'll be back. Don't go away.
Some days I walk, some days I crawl, some days I can't feel much at all. My body's a maze that I try to read. Every step forward, a silent need. But I won't let this break who I am. I've learned how to fight, learned how to stand. I may fall. In a quiet town called Carricknan, near the river's gentle call, lived a woman with a light so pure, she gave her love to all. She walked the streets of Montreal with grace and steady hands, working for the salvage folk from far off London lands. My mother, my friend, a soul so kind, a guardian angel through space and time, with open arms and a heart so wide. She stood by me, by every side, from Camley's lanes to Heaven's Hall. She was a guardian angel to all.
Exxon Nation. Karen Forrest is my special guest this hour. Her website, KarenForrest.com. What kind of healing can people experience through angelic messages or mediumship, Karen?
Yeah, healing would be more, I do that with angels versus dead people. And it really varies. It's very common that people are calling me for health concerns, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have them. We're going to have them in our lives.
Yeah.
So what I focus on is, first, let's see what healing angels want to do with you. So healing meditations are very common in my private sessions, and including for myself. I do live with a disability from my military career that I've been injured, I do have arthritis and other disabilities. So I do regular healing with the angels on a regular basis to minimize my pain. So during a session, I'll ask the angels, okay, what healing do you need to do? And the angels will tell me, they'll say, look, we need to do this, we need to do that. So I'm like, all right. And normally the healing meditations, they're only about a minute or two long. Then I also ask the angels, and what does my client, or me, for myself, need to do to help improve our health? So I'm always, it's kind of like a two-way street. Yes, the angels are going to help you, a divine source will help you, but there's certain things we have to do. And then I'm also asking angels and guide any medical professionals working with the person, whoever they are, guide them with the right diagnosis and the right treatment. And then if they're doing any form of therapy of any sort, complementary therapy, guide them to the right practitioner and guide that practitioner too. So there's a few things I look at anytime someone brings up any health questions.
Some religious communities reject mediumship and angel work. How do you respond to critics or misconceptions?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I don't blame them for rejecting mediumship, talking to dead people. I'm careful with that myself, right? Like, there is low energy out there. So when I talk to dead people, I have very strict boundaries. They have to be a certain vibration, or I'm not going to allow them to come through. The angels will act as my bodyguards for that. So in that way, yes. And just like I said, you asked me about healing. I don't go to dead people for healing. Their vibrations are not high enough. I go to pure love and pure light. That is a divine source for healing. So I get it when they say, hey, don't be going to talking to dead people for healing. Well, I'm not. Or even messages. Well, I actually do go for them for messages. But they have to be a certain vibration for me to work with them.
Karen, what do the angels look like? Do they look like you and I? Are they taller? Are they more luminous? What do they look like?
Yeah, all of that. They can appear in so many different forms. A lot of times when I see them, I will literally see them as colors of light. So I see little blobs of light and that move very slowly around me, and I see them in various colors, and that tells me, oh, that's an angel. When I see a dead person, if I see them, usually I see a small circular white light, so I'm seeing their soul. But an angel can appear in human form, and then people think, oh, there's a person there, and then they suddenly disappeared. Kind of like my story with the 5K march. I could have sworn it was a real person behind me, and realized, oh, it wasn't. So they can appear in human form, and it'd be harder for us to even recognize that that's an angel, except they don't talk a lot, they don't yak a lot. They come in, do what they need to do, and then suddenly just vanish. So those would be very typical stories I would hear if you're seeing them in human form. And then you can see them as you would think an angel will look like. So I don't tend to see like halos around them, but I will see the aura. So that's why I see colors, which will can look like a halo. But for example, if I see Archangel Michael, I see him like you think a typical painting of Archangel Michael is. So I see a male figure, usually with a sword or a shield. So there's different ways that they can appear, and sometimes it's to help us understand who they are.
How do you spiritually prepare yourself before a session or a public event?
Yeah. Before any public events, or even, for example, coming on the show tonight, I ask the angels to speak through me. I ask them to clear my throat chakra so I can talk. I will make sure that I feel good that day, so I take care of myself when I know that I'm doing public speaking. I keep my vibrations high, and when it comes to private sessions, I will center myself before I get on the phone with someone. Then I say a prayer at the beginning of the session, which basically says, angels, surround the session in white light, protect it, let the information come in the divine truth, and let it speak through me. So there's certain things I do. But then I also have to do a lot of work to keep my vibrations high to receive these messages. So there's some days I have to cancel my appointments because my vibrations aren't high enough. If I'm sick, like with a cold or, God forbid, COVID or whatever that I might be sick with, I have to cancel my sessions. I can't be working them because that lowers my vibrations, which can impede my ability to receive messages. So then I just cancel people and say, I'm sorry, but look, I'm sick. I can't do it today. This I work at a professional level, my vibrations must be high. It also means very simple things like I don't get drunk before I do my sessions. Like I'm not going to be doing public events and sitting there drinking alcohol in front of people. That's for sure. I feel like it some days, but I don't. I just,
Well, you can always tell them it's
alcohol.
You can always tell them it's just holy water, you know.
That's right. I could. I could, but I know it'll dull my vibrations, or I'm not under the influence of anything. So I have very specific lifestyle choices that I make to keep my vibrations high to do the work that I do professionally.
Is there a difference between vibrations and frequencies, or are they both the same?
To me, it's the same thing. Vibrations or frequency, I use the same word interchangeably.
Because once again, I was talking to another guest, and their mission is to try and bring as many people to the same frequency or vibratory levels, so that the level of consciousness and the ability to expand their abilities to join conscious communities around the world in order to get a better, a better grasp on the way things are going. So I guess, that's rather unique. And once again, this is all new information that seems to be coming out to a lot more people. And John Q Public is opening up their hearts and their minds to this.
Far more than even when I started this 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago. Like I thought at this point, I've been doing this 20 years, I can retire anytime. I don't need the money anymore. I just don't. And yet I'm still working because there's such a demand for it. You know, like, all right, don't need the money, but whatever. I still got clients asking for and it's funny because clients will still email me or call me saying, are you still doing this? I'm like, yeah, I haven't given up because there's too much of a need. More than ever, there's just becoming more popular.
Plus, you're on a mission from a very high source.
That's right. Yeah, honor my life path, and that's what I encourage everyone to do, whatever way that takes them.
There have been many times over the last 35 years of doing this show, and I thank the good Lord every day that I have the opportunity of meeting people like yourself and the other guests that I have on the show, and the people that I get to talk to. There have been times when I've tried to say, that's it. And something will happen, and the message I get is, you're not finished yet. Exactly.
Not yet. I know. I thought I would be retired by now. I said, I don't need the money, although I still charge people, but I don't need it. And yet, the angel's like, not yet. So I work part-time hours. But as fast as I think, oh, you know what, maybe I'll stop. No, because I still keep getting more requests to do workshops and talks and invited in and host things. And when I ask Angel, should I quit? Should I completely retire? No, not yet, Karen. Okay. I mean, I enjoy what I do. It doesn't even feel like work. I love what I do. And I do make my own hours, so I'll continue doing it.
Exactly.
But every time I think, I don't need to, but I'm still doing it because I'm divinely guided too.
That's the joy of what we do. When you really love what you do, and
that's right.
My entire mission during this show is the same as it was on the first day that the microphone and the sign said on air, is to make the difference in one person's heart, one person's life.
That's right.
That's it, just one.
Yes.
Do angels ever provide insight into the world events or greater spiritual truths, Karen?
Yes. Because I sometimes ask them, like, what the heck, right? What the heck? Especially now. It's like, seriously, angels? And sometimes it will come up that I will see, for example, where me and my clients and other intuitive people are getting a little bit on edge or feeling off, and we don't know why, but it's because of what's happening in the world, and we're picking up on that energy, and I see the trends and start to ask the angels, hey, how long is this going to last us, because this isn't a lot of fun. That just happened recently. It just finished in March, where it was not a lot of fun from January to March for intuitive people. We're feeling really the effects of what was going on in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's times I'm asking the angels about that. And then more important, the angels say, look here, you don't like this, just say some prayers. Send out some good energy in the world. Well, okay, I'm doing the best that I can, rather than curse. So I'll curse maybe 10% of the day, and then 90% send out good energy.
Do you ever get children who want to communicate with the angels, or they want to have a message from an angel? Now, what's it like to deal with
Absolutely.
children?
Oh, yeah, I work a lot with children. I just tell them that if they're under the age 18, I want the parents present to hear what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But parents are often bringing me their children, or part of their session will go towards their children, too.
Karen,
So there's so much curiosity with children, with angels, and their relatives passed on. Yeah.
you know, it seems that children see angels, and to them, seeing an angel is an everyday occurrence. And then through society and the negativity that is out there, they're kind of...
Yep. They start to lose sight of it.
That's
Children
right.
are far more, just like pets, they're far more in tune. But
Mm-hmm.
as you get older and you get distracted in life, distracted with work,
Yeah.
become more disconnected, don't allow that innocence and joy and magical energy. If you're not careful, you can lose touch with that, which a lot of adults do, and then say, okay, now I got to come back to that again.
Karen, you and I have to take our final break for this hour. And once again, Exonation, if you'd like to contact Karen for a one-on-one angelic communication consultation, or just to ask Karen questions. She's led a fascinating life. She's an author, she's a speaker, she's a medium, and she's also a very wonderful person. www.karenforrest.com is her website, and we'll be back as we continue here in the X Zone, and you're listening to us probably somewhere around the world, streaming by Classic 1220 CFAJ. Don't go away.
The sun broke through like a whisper inside, painted gold on the tears in your eye. The clock ticked loud in the hollow of time. We stood at the edge of a long, lonesome line. Words got caught in a tangled embrace. Too much to feel, too much to face. This is the day of goodbyes, my friend, where every moment must find its end. The road goes on, though we stay behind, with memories carved in the corners of time. No one ever said it would be so hard to try on the day of goodbye.
Karen Forrest is our special guest this hour. KarenForrest.com is her website. And Karen, I would imagine that all your books are available on Amazon and other online bookstores?
Yeah, Amazon and Chapters Indigo. Or through my website, you can order through my distributor directly too.
Super. Karen, do the angels have a message for me? I always love asking you this question.
Sure, yeah. Let me see what they have for you today. It's funny because before I got on the show with you, I bought a new deck of cards, and I get very excited. I'm like a child, so I was practicing my new deck on myself and my sister. But when I'm asking the angels, what do they want you to know? Because sometimes it's just nice to see what do they want you to know today. And I often ask that question with my clients. And they're saying, for you, Rob, and I'm asking for you, they're saying success. They're saying you're successful. You're doing great work. Keep it up. Keep it up. You're forging ahead because you're like a leader in talking. You're a leader. You're a champion, and you're a champion for others. And they're saying you're doing a fantastic job. And that tells me you're right where you're supposed to be in life. You're doing good, including that specifically is for your career. But they're saying you're doing good. You're successful. Your desire is coming to fruition. Keep it up. Keep it up. So I'm telling them, well, I'll help you keep it up then, because I know what it's like professionally. It takes energy, right? It does, especially when we don't have to do it and we still choose to. It
That's
takes
right.
a bit of energy and commitment.
Well, thank you very much, and please thank the angels for me.
Yes, yes, yeah. Yeah, it's surprising how often in a session an angel will say to someone, "You're doing great," and then they'll burst into tears, and I'm like, "Why are you crying over that one?" And they're like, "Because I didn't know I was doing good. I kind of questioned. I wasn't sure, or no one's told me that recently, and certainly not from an angel." So if they're not used to working with me, and that's one of the messages they get, I get people bursting into tears over, "Hey, you're doing good. Keep it up."
Karen, do you have a particular angel you work most closely with?
Mainly when I'm communicating for myself, I just tend to say angels and God in general. Other than that, it'll be Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael. So Archangel Michael for a lot for clearing and protection, and Archangel Raphael for healing.
How can angels help people who are grieving the loss of someone that they've loved? And, you know, I've seen this so many times in my own life.
Yeah.
How can angels help?
In different ways. One is helping people look at when you're going through an intense grief, especially if someone just passed. It's like you're in a fog, and some angels are trying to guide you through the fog and give you hope to say, "I promise you, you'll get to the other side of this fog. You still got to grieve. You're still going to go through that grief, but they're going to hold your hand while you go through that grief, so that you don't feel so alone."
I would imagine, as a mental health practitioner, that you would understand more than most that it is necessary to grieve, because grieving is part of the healing process.
That's right. You can't heal if you don't grieve. You have to go through these emotions. So often I'm validating when people look, "I get you, you're grieving. You're feeling a lot of pain right now, and I can't even take that away from you. I can try to minimize it a little bit, bring it down a few notches, but you still got to go through this pain, but you don't have to do it alone.
Because
I'm going to call in your relative that you're missing. I will help you and the angels, all three of us. Me, angels, and dead people will help you through this process. You don't have to do it alone."
Plus, we're never alone. We always have angels around us, what's your take on reincarnation, Karen? Do the angels or spirits work with you? Do you ever talk about it?
Yeah, I do. And when I first started taking my spiritual training, they were talking about reincarnation. I didn't believe in it because it's not what I was taught as a Catholic. Catholics don't believe in reincarnation. So I just put it to the side. I didn't want to be intolerant. I just thought, I'm just going to put that to the side because that's not my thing. But then when I started doing angel readings and mediumship, talking to dead people, this started to come up in conversation where the angels were talking about reincarnation. I'm like, "Angels, I don't believe in it." And they're like, "We don't care if you don't believe in it. This is what you got to talk about because this is the way it is." I'm like, "Okay." So in time, I started to believe in it, but at first I didn't. And then I started to believe in it more when the angels saying, "Look, as part of our healing, often when the angels are doing healing meditations, they'll do bloodline healing or healing from past lives." And I remember the first few times they were saying, "We got to do healing from past life." I'm like, "Really? I don't believe in it." And they're like, "It doesn't matter if you believe it or not, Karen. This is what we need to do." I'm like, "Okay, whatever." And so I just remained open to it. But at first I didn't even believe in it. Now I do because it's just come up too many times for me to ignore it anymore.
What are some of the most common questions that you get people asking you to ask the angels?
Well, number one is romance. Number one, romance. Either they're trying to find a romantic partner, or they're in a relationship and they're trying to improve it, or wondering if they should stay in a relationship. Romance is the number one. Common questions are about health. How do I improve my health, or have a specific health concern, or how do I maintain my health? And then career is the third one. A lot of questions about career. And that's no surprise because I'm mainly working with adults.
Sure.
So romance, health, career. Occasionally they'll ask about life path. So yeah.
Years ago when I would take callers, we would have a psychic on Friday night. We'd have two
Mm-hmm.
psychics on, and for 2 hours the lines would open. And it was always the same people with the same questions. Like, am I going to find Mr. Right? Well,
Yep.
you've got to put work into all this. Mr. Right's not going to
Yep.
knock on your door unless
That's
it's
right.
the FedEx guy or the postman or the pizza delivery person.
Yeah, that's right.
It seems
And
that
that's what I tell people
Yeah.
too. I have to tell them, hey, look, because that's the number one question. I want to find Mr. Right. Okay, well, first of all, I'm asking, are you even ready? Because if you're not, you're going to attract in the wrong one. So sometimes I tell people, wait. And then I have to look at, what do you need to do to get off your butt to attract this person in? Because if you're not doing the healing or the work, then you're not ready, and it's not going to happen. So it's not this nonsense of, again, in 3 years' time, you're going to meet Mr. Right. No, that's nonsense. It's where are you now, and what are you doing to make this happen? That's what I look at specifically.
there's no easy fix.
No, there's not, because you got to get off your butt and do some work. And if you're not getting off your butt and doing the work, it's not going to happen.
Exactly, just
It's
like the
not.
people who ask, am I going to get that new
Yeah.
job? Well, yeah, you'll get a new job,
Yeah.
but you've got to work at it.
If you do the steps,
Exactly.
and if you don't, and the angels will keep saying, you got to do this. And I've seen it with people. 5 years later, oh my God, the angels are still saying the same thing. You still haven't done step one. No, I haven't. Well, you're still going to get the same message until you do the step. Like, you've got to get off your butt and do certain things and be proactive in your life. And the angels will say that more politely than what I will put it. But they'll say, this is what you need to do. They'll work too, but it's a two-way street. You have to do certain things. It's not a matter of sitting there like a lump and saying, let's bring it on. No, that's not reality. You've got to get off your butt and you've got to do things.
Karen, what advice do you have for someone who wants to develop their own spiritual or intuitive gifts?
I tell them first, have some fun with it. Don't take it all so seriously. Right? Like, have some fun with it. There's a million different ways you can do it. I have so much extensive training and practice, and still learn things to this day that are fun for me to learn and practice still to this day. And I've been doing this 20 years now. But I tell people, ask for divine guidance to help you find the right teacher and the right books, but then you got to practice what you're learning, because a lot of people say, oh, I've learned that. I'm like, great, but have you practiced it? No. Oh, come on, get off your butt. Practice, 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 because that's how I got to the point I am an expert. And I tell people that. This is not just my attending a bunch of courses. I had to practice, and I had to practice, and I had to practice some more. So it's a lot of practice and taking the dedicated time to practice. But have some fun with it, too, while you're practicing.
No pain, no gain.
That's right. That's right. You got to practice. You
Yeah.
have to, or you won't get there if you don't try it and practice. It's not just reading books about it. I wish it was, because I'm a nerd. I love to read books. I'll read all kinds of books, but it's more than that. I still have to practice what I read.
Karen, as always, time goes by so fast whenever I have the opportunity of sharing an hour with you. Thank you so much for joining us here in the X Zone. It's always a great pleasure, and keep up the great work, because I know that you help so many people, and
Thank you.
You walk the walk and you talk the talk. So thank you very much for being there, Karen.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Exonation, our sincere thanks to Karen for sharing her inspiring journey and enlightening us with angelic insights. Now, from military service to spiritual guidance, Karen's path is a testament to the power of transformation, healing, and listening to the divine. To learn more about Karen or book a session or dive into her books and teachings, be sure to visit her website at KarenForrest.com. That's KarenForrest.com. I'll be back on the other side of this very short break as hour number 2 of the X Zone starts right here from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. And you're listening to us on the Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, X Zone Broadcast Network, and your hometown radio, Classic 1220 CFAJ AM, here in St. Catharines. And they're kind enough to stream us around the world on classic1220.ca.
The stories, the wisdom, the proof. Here's to the voice that never backed down. A dreamer, a doer, this town with a mic in his hand and stars in his eyes. He lifted the world with each truth he'd surprise. This is our song, our standing ovation. Ode to Rob McConnell, pride of a nation. He painted in sound, he sculpted in song, gave hope to the broken, made the quiet feel strong. Through decades of midnight, his questions would shine in the X zone of mystery, beyond space and time. Behind every broadcast, a husband stood tall. Beside Laura through love, he gave it his all. To children and grandkids and Sophie the pup, he's the soul who would smile and never give up. So here's to